All right, and welcome to another edition of Woodsy's Footy Club Tour. And I've got a bloke that I've known for a long, long time. One of my favourites, Will Hopoate. How you going, buddy?
Good, thanks, Woodsy. Good to be here, mate.
What's happening in the life of Will at the moment, mate?
Just trying to be a father. I got 5 kids.
Five? Jesus,
kids,
mate.
Just retired last year and enjoying retirement.
What, no TVs in your house, mate? Come on, buddy.
Forgot to pay the Wi-Fi bill.
Mate, talk to us. Obviously, when we first met, you know, I met this young little string bean, very similar to what your brother is at the moment at Manly Lehigh. You were 16 and you made Aussie schoolboys. Was that the first moment that you sort of realised, I can make a gig of my rugby league career?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, the dream was ignited probably a few years earlier, but making that rep team with yourself, sort of only added fire to that dream. And making it a few years under gave me a bit more confidence that hopefully I could make a career out of rugby league. And looking back now, time flies. Grateful, for the career that I had.
It does fly, doesn't it? We're the old boys now. Remember we were like the young pups back then.
I know.
Mate, and now we're coming to training. And it was only the other day that I spoke to Lehigh and that. I used to watch you when I was in primary school. That's not a good look for us, is it, mate?
Oh my goodness!
Talk to us about your old man. So you would have grew up watching a lot of Manly. Were you a Manly supporter growing up?
Yeah, Manly supporter. I just followed Dad really. So when he went Tigers, and went for Tigers.
Yep.
Come back to Manly, went for Manly. But I think having him as a father, obviously. He would say he was the crash test dummy. He would, show us everything not to do. But, going to trainings with him in the holidays and, him bringing me and my brothers into the sheds after the game. And, to see the behind-the-scenes stuff that not the ordinary fan would. I got an early insight into what it takes to be a professional rugby league player. And I wanted it. Yeah, I wanted it from a young age just because of that. And to see the career that he had.
What was he like on you when you played games? Was he the first person you'd go to and say, Dad, how do you reckon I went today? Or
mate, it was quite hard to please him. You had to score 6 tries or something for him to say good game.
Oh, mate.
And so I suppose in a way it humbled all of us. He was like that with all my brothers.
Yep.
Really, and thankfully with a few of us have been able to debut, and I think because he was quite hard on us, but not overbearing.
Yep.
He sort of had the balance in terms of if we had a good game, he'd, pat us on the back, but he wouldn't, pump our tires up where we thought we were mad,
mate,
so to speak.
I'll tell you a funny story. I played with Lehigh this year at Blacktown, and I remember he dropped the ball at fullback, and I was like, mate, it's all right, it's all good. He goes, nah, not worried about that. And I go, what's wrong, brother? He goes, Dad's in the corner watching. I was like, mate, no way. Just don't look at him. Yeah. Just keep playing.
Right, that's it. That's the presence he had for all of us. And
mate.
so I suppose it motivated us to, have good games.
Yep.
And kept us humble if we did have a good game.
It's funny, but the impact that not just John has on yourself, but the club of Manly. Like when Lehigh come in and John presented his jersey with your mother, all the boys were just like, when someone walks in a room, it's just like, wow.
Yeah,
here he is. Like, there's just got that presence.
Yeah.
Like, John's still got it at Manly. Yeah. Everyone knows him. He knows everyone.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to get by him. Talk to us about, coming through the grades at Manly. Was there always, just because you were, John's son, a lot of hype around yourself?
Yeah. I suppose as a young kid, I didn't like it, obviously, because, I was just trying to make a name and career for myself. And, there's external pressure when you have a surname that's associated with rugby league, and Dad was obviously playing first grade, and there was sometimes there were raps on me where I think I didn't deserve it, and there were just raps on me just because my last name was Hopoate. And so although I did grow up in Manly, born and raised in Manly, and followed Manly as a youngster, and so I come through the junior system, played mats and everything at Manly. And speaking of Dad debuting presenting Lehigh's jersey, I still remember he was able to present mine when I made my debut at Brookie as well. So
how was that?
Special, man. Yeah, very special. I actually didn't know he was doing it. I think he maybe kept it from me as a secret on purpose.
Yep.
And so went to the game as normal, getting ready, strapped, warming up, and he walks in, and obviously I knew then that he was presenting, and special moment, and I still remember it.
Speaking of your debut, how did you find out that you were going to play first grade, and who was the first people you told?
Des pulled me aside and told me that I was debuting. We played the Broncos that week. They were red hot. back in 2010.
Yeah.
And told my parents and my family straight away. And they were obviously over the moon as I was. And yeah, I think like any professional athlete like yourself, you always remember your debut.
Yeah.
Like it's yesterday. Just the feeling around it, what happened during the game.
Where did you debut at?
I debuted on the right wing.
Ooh, yep.
Yeah. At Brookie Oval. We lost to Brisbane that day.
Yep.
But across the park was players like Darren Lockyer.
Wow.
Speaking of, people that
The greats.
yeah, that I looked up to as a kid.
How did you feel coming up against him? Were you a bit nervous, or like did you have to pinch yourself going out there?
Yeah, everything, both. Pinch myself. I remember, we're walking into half time and he was walking in front of me, and I actually just wanted to kiss his head. Just to like, you're the man. Like, I love you, bro.
That's what a lot of people don't understand about young blokes. Like, you sort of come in a grade and they say be yourself, but you've seen these guys on TV for so many years, and it's like, wow.
And I mean, you'd be the same, I think, to the young guys, like Lehigh and his generation. Obviously, what was that 10 years ago?
It's good for us to sort of, when they ask us questions, like you don't think about it until afterwards. You go, oh, these kids actually have a genuine interest, like and then we sort of just think, oh, we're just a football player like all these other guys, but we're
like the ones we looked up to.
When I got the blokes calling me fossil and that now, it's like, mate, what's
going on?
It's crazy. With your debut, you've got a large family. How many tickets did you get for the game?
There was only a few actually that come to my game. I think not too sure what happened, but obviously there was more on the games that they could come to.
Yep.
But there was still a few there, which was good. It was a rainy day too, cold rainy day. They probably added to it. But yeah, wouldn't change it for the world.
And then you speak about the side, like, come up against the Broncos, but what about your team? Like, you had blokes, Chalky Watmow, Glenn and Brett Stewart, Jamie Lyon, Jason King, Brent Kite. Mate, that Manly side was a fair dinkum great side.
Yeah. I suppose I was pretty lucky with the timing to, come into a red hot team. They had a, core group of senior players there that, held the fort, and I was just a sponge soaking it all up. And I still got photos of, you rewind the clock back at 5-6 years before my debut, and I'm taking photos with Chalky and Killer and Skivvy.
Oh, mate.
In the sheds or at training, whatever it is.
Well, that's one bloke I'd love to know. What was Skivvy like? You don't really hear too much of him this day and age, but he's one bloke you'd always look up and go, I do not want to run anywhere near this guy. Did you play outside him?
No, he was the other centre. Yeah, he was left.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was on the right. But champion bloke, champion player, just a laid back dude. Like, you get to know him off the field, you wouldn't think he's the hitman that he is. Just cruise years, get through training, put the jersey on, go on the field, just turns into a beast.
He was so good.
He's the man.
You had Desi Hasler a couple of times, but what was his influence on yourself at a young age?
Yeah, I was quite scared of Des to start with as a kid.
Sorry, did you know Des when he played with your dad?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so I still got photos of when they were playing, and I got photos as a kid with Des.
Oh, you're kidding!
And so then fast forward a few years, and he gives me my debut. But I just remember going to my first preseason, and just his aura and his intensity just rattled me. I was like, shucks, I can't stuff up. If I drop the ball, I'm out. Like, just
as a young kid, you're scared of those moments.
Yeah, scared of those moments. And so I suppose that it drove me to want to be better, and train hard and play hard. And so forever grateful to Des for giving me the opportunity to play, especially in a red hot team. Like he trusted me as a young kid to play in a stacked side. So I'm grateful for that.
What was he like? You hear a lot of the stories about the senior boys used to just wind Des up.
They'd always play pranks on him, man. Like,
really?
As a young kid coming through, I just would he'd be running on the field looking for something. His hair's going everywhere, and you just see Snake and Gifty laughing, and they've hit his shoe or they've hit something from him, and I was just like, I would never in my life do that to Des because I was that scared of him. But they would just take the piss out of him all the time.
Were you there? I remember talking to Snakey, Brett Stewart, about, he said he left something in Des's office over the weekend.
I don't know the story.
It was like goose. He left a goose in there and locked it in the room. Him and Gifty, Glenn Stewart, and they reckon when on Monday morning when Des opened the office, there was just bird poo everywhere. It'd just been going nuts. It'd been in there for 3 days.
That's something that they both will do. They're legends, those two.
And then so you get a few games in 2010. Was that your first preseason with first grade in 2010 or 2011?
Yeah, so 2010. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So end of 09 going to 010 was my first preseason.
Yep.
Yeah, hard as hell, but loved it.
Yep. Then when you got the 2011 season, that's when you got the red hot Manly side.
Yeah.
And then you sort of forge your way into, was it right centre?
Yeah, right wing.
Right
I was sort
wing.
of covering the back five, but yeah, mainly right wing.
Yeah, because by the grand final, you were a centre.
Yeah.
Because Jamie Lyons shifted to 5'8", didn't he?
Well, it just depended on injuries.
Yep.
So like if everyone was healthy, then he'd stay at centre.
Yep.
And then I was on the wing.
Yep.
And then on the other centre wing was Steve Marai and Michael Robertson.
Yep.
And then Ches and Foz, who are still going today.
Unbelievable.
Machines.
What were they like back then as kids? Because they were only a couple of years older than you as well, weren't
Yeah.
they?
Well, we played through 20s and that together, and they were just as they are now, like carving the competition up.
Yep.
Good blokes off the field, professional in terms of their training.
Yep.
They would, attack training sessions, and it's might be a surprise to a lot of people that they're still playing that long, but because I've seen how they train and prepare their bodies and themselves for games, and you would know being, training with Ches right now, they're just freaks, man. Ultimate professionals, and it's no surprise to me that they're still playing at this age.
What about, we know Ches, like his body is just outstanding. Foz, mate, he's one of the toughest humans to ever play the game, and you look at him now, and sometimes he's just like, the way he walks, like he waddles, but
mate.
he just gets through it. And when he plays, Gold Coast are a much better team.
100%.
Like, are you surprised that he's still going at this age? He's got another year too.
Yeah, like a few years back, you look like, mate, this bloke is battered and broken.
Remember we were at the Dogs with him?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah. And
mate.
he'd just be injured, constantly get injured. And I suppose that's how tough he is mentally to battle through all those injuries. And sometimes you see him walking, he's hobbling along, but at the same time, he's doing all the prehab in the world just to get up for training, get up for games. And he's going again. Foz, you're the man, Foz, if you're listening.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. We're trying to get him on.
And he's going again, the legend. So no, good on them both.
And speaking about, like, I remember I used to hear the Manly culture. Like, a lot of people just say the old boys they just do what they want there, and you hear all these outside noise. Like, what were they like week in, week out?
They were proper legends in terms of they would, in a sense, run the ship, really. And that's what you want in a culture, right?
Yep. Player-driven
teams. And that's what they would do in terms of, what they wanted in training. Sometimes if, conditioning was going too long, they'd just, that's enough.
And Des would listen.
And they'd stop it. And so just because, one, they were winning. We were winning. So you can't really, change what's working. And two, because they were, strength in numbers. Because they were all, would say be unified in their message. But they didn't take shortcuts or anything. They just like competed at training, and obviously on the game they'd turn it on. So you just, mate, what are you going to do?
Well, like, and then you've been at a couple clubs and been around for a bit. Was that one of the best cultures you've been a part of?
I think so. I think because it was player driven, and I think those players, they had the balance in terms of now it's time to switch on, train hard, play hard, and they had the balance of, all right, let's switch off and have a laugh, and just enjoy the time with the boys. And so I thought that was normal. I suppose I took it for granted a bit as I got older and went to different clubs and systems. But yeah, grateful that I got to come through at that time.
And then, so you had that good season in 2011, but you also make your Origin debut.
Yeah.
Did you think you would have been on the radar? Like, second year, first grade?
No, not at all.
Really?
They didn't even tell me that I was debuting.
No way.
Nah, yeah. So I was just just with a bunch of friends from church. We were just at a church gathering at Curly Beach.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, just had a look out there, and we're just chilling really, and started getting all these messages on my phone like, "Oh, congrats!" And I was like, I think we won on the weekend, and I thought, oh, don't need that many congratulations.
Not normally.
Yeah, not normally. Yeah, like we win, there's a few, but all these congratulations coming through. I was like, what's going on? And then my old man called me, and he's like, "Oh, you made the Origin team." I was just like,
"You're kidding?"
I sort of had an out of body experience where I was just like, "Wait, what?
No way.
Is this like the under-19s Origin, or is this like the State of Origin Origin?"
So no one called you just come out?
Nah, yeah. So I don't know if that was on purpose or accident, but yeah, I didn't know until
So
the world knew.
And then, so how did you find out when you were told?
Yeah, so after my old man spoke to me, and then I believe it was, our team manager just gave me a call and said, send you the itinerary, this and that.
So you're in a church function, you're at Curly Beach.
Yeah.
How are you feeling that moment? Like,
yeah.
because you're a young bloke, you've been around
yeah.
it, you love your rugby league, and then to get that call.
And I was just amongst my mates. Like, it wasn't a formal gathering. We were just sort of hanging out. And, a few tears were shed. I think I was more in shock.
Really?
Yeah, more in shock. Because, I mean, that just wasn't on my mind at the time. I was just focused on, man, I just want to stay playing first grade. I want to stay in this team.
Yeah.
Got a good team, got a good crack at, hopefully winning the comp, which we thankfully did later that year. That was my focus. Origin, it wasn't on it.
And what was the experience like when you first went into camp? How was?
Well, yeah, as we both know now, the media storm, and I didn't realize, like,
Different, isn't it?
Just a different beast. Like,
especially you've come from Manly, where Des sort of protects you a lot, doesn't he?
yeah, that's right.
Like, he would just,
anything media, he shuns them away. Just wants to keep it closed doors. But you get into those camps, and the first few days, just all photos and videos and interviews, and just the media storm, and I was just
crazy.
Taken by surprise. And one, that took me by surprise, and two, I'm 19, I'm still learning the game, and I'm playing with and against the best of the best, so I'm still pinching myself. I'm already pinching myself playing with Manly. Yeah, and then I go to New South Wales.
A double pinch.
Yeah, double pinch.
Unbelievable. Who was your roomie?
I was with the great Greg Birdie.
Oh, Jesus. Of all blokes to get, but you know what? If someone's going to show you what it's like to be a New South Wales player, you've got the best experience.
Yeah. Well, I think Sticky was the coach at the time, and I suppose, looking back now, I think it was probably intentional that they put me with him, just to sort of show me, like, you want to play Origin and be an Origin player, this is what they do. And mate, Birdie, what a legend.
Oh, he loves it, doesn't he?
Oh, loves
it. Even to this day, he still hates Queensland so much. Oh, mate.
He's a champion, Birdie.
He's one of the, obviously, for people listening, he's one of the ultimate team men.
Yeah.
If there's ever a function, an activity, training, something, he's just leading the charge for it.
100%.
He's one of the greats. What was your impression like on Sticky?
Sticky was really good. Yeah, Sticky was the man. My first take on him was that he was just really passionate. Just a passionate guy, and obviously being a Blues legend, he was obviously really passionate about the jersey. And I just felt like, I'd only just met him, we got into camp, and I just felt like I didn't want to let him down just because of how much New South Wales meant to him, and just the way he spoke. And again, being around mad players, only added to it. Yeah.
So you spoke about in 29 when you run against Lockyer. Now you're against Lockyer in Origin?
Yeah,
mate.
Like against Origin. That's
In 1 year, can you believe it? And then you got the blokes like, who's you having yours? Paul Gallen.
Yeah, Gallen. We had Gaznia. We had Mini. Just
Hainsey.
Yeah. I was playing centre, and Hainsey was my winger. And so, a couple of years before that, he had that magic 09 run.
Yes,
right? And so Hainsey's the man. And so
at his peak of powers,
peak, and he's my wingman. I'm just like, fuck, what's going on here?
And the one thing I remember, your grandmother, the Otai. Is Otai?
Yeah, the Otai. Yeah, that's it.
That's a very popular drink when Hopper's in camp.
Yeah, the magical watermelon juice, and she it was just a family tradition that she would do. She'd bring it to every game, and you've obviously had a few cups.
Oh, I've had a few. It's the best.
She'd bring it to every team that I played for, including the Origin teams, and so. She even made her way over to England.
No way. Really?
Yeah, come over to England when I was at Saints just to bring the watermelon.
What did the Pommy boys think of it over there?
Yeah, they loved it, man. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's so good for the culture of the boys over there. And then, so you get that game 2. It's a stadium at Homebush.
ANZ, Homebush. Yeah, we got the win.
What was that like running out? Because a lot of people tend to say that running out at Suncorp's one of the best experiences ever. But when you got 80-odd thousand New South Wales Blues supporters,
oh mate. Unreal. And as you would know, it's just a surreal feeling, eh? Like, and that was the first time I'd run out into that type of capacity.
Yeah.
Where that stadium was full. Obviously, NRL, you get 20,000. That's a big game. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But to run out, in front of 80 plus was just I still remember it. I still remember the feeling walking through the tunnel. What a long walk, eh?
Oh, it's long, isn't it? You just want to get out there.
Oh, mate, yeah. 100%.
How long's the day of Origin, isn't it?
Oh, mate, it's such a long, especially because I don't know if they still do, but if you play in the ANZ, you stay at the Pullman, right?
Yep.
And they're trying to tell you, take your mind off the game. You look out the window and they just sit in the stadium up. The fans are coming in.
It's crazy. It's
such a long day,
And you don't really play till like 8:15.
Yeah.
And it's like, far out.
Yeah.
I just want to get there.
Yeah, 100%. Just fast forward. You want to hurry and nap and just get to the game. And
what do you remember from the game?
What do I remember? I remember, the run out. I remember the run out. Running out into that stadium and just feeling the roar and the stadium vibrating. I remember the huddle. Gal was obviously skip at the time, and just these last few words when we were in the huddle.
Yep.
He was just explaining to the boys to follow him. Really, he's going to take charge, and that was a sort of like, shucks, let's go where the boys are on here.
You scored a try, didn't you?
Yeah, I was there. Thankfully,
the
got to score a try in the corner there, and that was again another surreal moment. I think being in the moment, you don't really realize how big it is until you sort of look back and think, man, one, to debut and play State of Origin is big, and to score on debut, very grateful.
Unbelievable. And he's got the win that night too, didn't you?
Got the win that night, yeah. And so, how good's a win after an Origin game?
Mate, it's the best. There's nothing better, is there?
Oh, mate. And so, yeah.
Didn't break no tables in the Portland.
There would have been a few tables broken, Woodsy? Oh, mate.
We'll talk about that later on in the 14 series. But then obviously, so you go back to, you spoke about before, you get to the grand final for Manly.
Yep.
What was the run like in September, going through the semi-finals?
Yeah. I still remember as clear as day. We actually played teams, all our teams we played were out of Sydney. So we started with the Cowboys.
Okay, yep.
I think we're actually losing at half time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then there was the McIntyre system, 1v8.
Yes,
So we finished, I think, first or second, and they were down the bottom, obviously.
Oh, wow.
And we were sort of, I suppose a bit shell-shocked. They come out red hot and losing at half time. But then I think we won it convincingly, ran away with it in the end.
Yep.
Got the week off and played Brisbane.
How good's the week off, isn't it?
It helps.
And because you had a bit of an older squad, didn't you, with all the old boys?
Yeah.
I reckon that's what you need.
Absolutely. And so that week off definitely helps. And it's not, too long of a break where you're sort of losing your combinations and your match fitness. It's just enough time to recover and go again.
And then so you play Brisbane in the prelim?
Brisbane in the prelim at the old SFS.
Did you play before the Storm and Warriors or
before? Yeah,
so
before,
you used the first game.
First game. Yeah. So we played Brisbane, won that game, which was that was a tough game. We won that, and then it was Melbourne and the Warriors.
Melbourne Warriors, yes.
Melbourne Warriors
on the Saturday night.
On the Saturday.
Did you all get together and watch the game, or?
I think a few of the boys did, but then a few. I was just watching it at home.
Yeah. Well, you're 19, mate. All the boys.
I was at home, with the family, and then watching New Zealand Melbourne play. And
did you what were you thinking? So when you say you on the Friday night you get the win against Brizzy, were you sort of thinking, Melbourne, this could be a repeat of 08, 09?
Personally, I was thinking Melbourne were going to win.
Yep.
But hoping Warriors would win.
Okay, yeah.
Just because obviously Melbourne's, I felt like we're a lot harder than Warriors at the time.
Yep.
And felt like we had more chance of, beating New Zealand than Melbourne.
Yep.
And so I was, hoping New Zealand would win. And then when they did, I was, secretly cheering, but knew it wasn't going to be a walk in the park.
And then, so when they did win, what was the grand final week like? Because that was back then when they had the lunch, the breakfast, they had the footy show.
Yeah. And so I suppose, going through Origin that year, that sort of, half prepared me for that week.
Yep.
And obviously I hadn't been to a grand final before, so everything was new to me. But another, media storm the whole week. And it's funny because obviously the channels and magazines and everything need footage of both teams. And so grand final week, you come together. There's a few select players from each team. You come together. You got to do like the nose-to-nose staring with the players, which was pretty hard. Thankfully, the Warriors boys were actually good. So I was I partnered up with because I was marking Mona Vadavai.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So he's a good fella. And so we had to do the face off to pretend to be angry and stuff like that. And he was just laughing the whole time. So it's sort of a
couple of Tongan kids just going up against each other.
Yeah. So it sort of made it a bit easier. But the older boys like Snake and Gift in that, they were saying, the previous years when they were playing Melbourne, They said it was that like
Oh, because that was a genuine rivalry.
yeah, genuine rivalry and hatred.
Oh yeah.
So they said so when they had those sort of face-offs, it was that like intense and awkward. Like,
Yep.
shucks. So thankfully the Warriors boys were good with all that stuff. But yeah, just the whole week. Well, speaking of Hugh Jackman, before he being a Manly fan,
No way. He was
he
there.
he come in
Oh.
and, before the footy show and got to take a few photos with him, meet him.
Oh, how good's that?
Had his Manly scarf on.
Oh, beautiful.
And so, yeah, got to meet the Wolverine man, which was good.
And that was when he was in his prime, the Wolverine too, wasn't it? Yeah.
And so, didn't realize how big he was.
How big?
Yeah, in terms of
He's actually a bit taller than you think, isn't he?
Yeah, far out. So he walked into the room, and obviously, speaking of aura, he had that presence and aura when he walked into the room, and so yeah, he was the man.
And then, so obviously, game day. Did you stay overnight anywhere, or did you?
No, we just caught the bus in. Yeah, caught the bus in. It was just it was only at Homebush.
Yep.
3 o'clock kickoff, the Arvo kickoffs.
Oh, the best.
Yeah, way better.
The best.
I love the Arvos.
And it was a tough game, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
Early on.
Yeah,
like
early on. It wasn't a blowout. And towards the end, they started gaining momentum.
Yeah.
And I think they scored, I don't know, maybe 15 or so to go. And they scored on the sideline. I think they were down by, it was 18-16 at the time. And had Jimmy Maloney kicked it, I think it would have made us more nervous.
Yeah.
But just, he missed and we're up by 2, sort of gave us a bit of
breathing space.
And then, we scored right at the end to kick on with it. But yeah, I still remember we sort of, we scored a few tries and got ahead by a bit. And I thought we were home.
Yep.
And then they made a late charge at the back end of the second half.
You couldn't just relax, could you?
Yeah. Oh, mate, I was nervous. I was scared. I was that nervous.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just because they had because they had the likes of Fileti Mateo, Jimmy Maloney.
Freaks, Madalinos, Packers,
Packers, and Kristen Nino was carving that year.
Oh,
and Sean Johnson.
Yeah, he's prime too.
Carving, sidestepping everyone, and so they had momentum. I was just like, shucks.
There's a moment I remember that grand final when I think Glenn Stewart just does a grubber in his own 20 or 30.
Yeah, that was
Was that a plan?
No, that's just the gift, man. So that was right before half time.
Yeah, that sort of gave you a little bit of breathing space, didn't it?
Breathing space. And so, right before half time, he was on the right and he just, grubbed it through. I think there was an overlap and he kicked it for Michael Robertson.
Yeah.
Kicked it, Robbo ran down, made a break, got tackled, and then we passed it infield and Ches scored under the post. So, especially how it is now. You score before halftime, it's a big lift. You get scored against before halftime.
It's just deflating.
So deflating. And so the psychological advantage of that try was huge.
Oh, it was massive, yeah. And obviously you got yourself a try too, didn't you?
I got disallowed one.
Oh, disallowed? Was it? What happened? Was disallowed?
I reached for the corner, but my hip just touched the sideline before.
Ah, filthy.
Yeah, spewed.
So you win the grand final. You've had a couple of early successes in your career, and you don't drink, obviously yourself being with your faith. What was the party like? Because we've known a lot of stories about those Manly boys. They didn't mind a beer or two.
They didn't mind that, all right. Mate, they were just outright champions. And sometimes people don't realize, sometimes they would. Obviously, there's professionalism. They were professional, but sometimes during the week, not get pissed, but they'd be like, "Oh, let's go have a few," just to get together, and then still come up to the game and score a hat trick.
That's what I love hearing about that era. The blokes they're just footballers.
Yeah,
the GIF, Brett Stewart, Jamie Lyon, and mate, just Chocky Watmow. I've been told that whatever Chocky Watmow says, you halve it and divide it by 2 again because it could be a bit of GST with the chock stuff.
Chocky.
But just the way that they could back it up.
Oh man,
so good.
Yeah, just unreal. And they just come out and perform how they did. And someone like Jamie Lyon, without a shirt, you think just the normal regular bloke. You know what I mean? Down the beach, you think didn't work out at all. Just nothing. And put a jersey on.
Freak.
He's
one of the best I've seen.
Oh,
just naturally gifted player.
100%. It was such a joy playing outside him because he was right centre and I was right wing. Coming through, and so just the mental confidence.
Was he you hear a lot of stories? Was he a big talker? Obviously being defensive, with the reads?
I mean, he would talk, but I think just his actions and just his ability to do things that no one else could.
Mm-hmm.
That's what spoke the loudest.
Oh wow!
And so he'd do things on the field that just so natural and made it look easy, but was the degree of difficulty was
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was unreal. And so as a young kid, sometimes the huddle before you go out.
Yep.
I'd look around the huddle and see the likes of those guys, Jamie Lyon, Steve Maddow, the Stewart brothers, Brent Kite, and just think, oh, we're going to win today.
How good's that feeling?
Oh,
Like,
such a good feeling.
there's nothing better,
And
is there?
I again, took for granted until, I went further on in my career and just think like, man, that was a good feeling.
Oh, mate, it's crazy. But then, obviously, when was it that you made the decision to go on your Mormon mission?
It was earlier that year.
Earlier that year?
Sort of like midway through the year.
So did you tell the club at that period that you're going to...
Yeah.
Yep.
And so told the club, I remember, it was just before a video session.
Yep.
I went into Dez's office and just, spoke with him, obviously, let him know my decision that I wanted to, go and serve a mission. Obviously, the club was trying to keep me and sign me on.
Yep.
And so I just said, this is what I'm going to do. And he said, all right, sweet, I respect it. Good on you.
So he was so he was good with it?
Very good with it.
Oh,
he was very good with it. And I suppose, that was, that made me feel good.
Yep.
In terms of him, not just turning me away, just like he actually cared. Like, good on you.
Stuck solid with you.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. Good on you. Like, go.
Oh, beautiful.
And then we had video before that, and he told me after video, like, stand up before the, in front of the boys and tell them what you're doing.
How was that? Like, because you're only 19 at that
Yeah,
period.
I was a bit nervous.
Yeah.
Like, he's going for the video. I don't remember anything from it because all I was thinking about was my speech.
What were you going to say?
So I was at the back thinking, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? And anyway, I just, stood up in front of the team and said, something along the lines of like, boys, obviously there's a bit of talk about in terms of where I'm going to sign. And it said, I've signed a 2-year contract with my church and I'm going to serve a mission.
Yep.
Some of them were a bit confused. They didn't know what I was talking about. They're like, what's a mission? And
yeah.
what do you do? What's it involve? And anyways, they were really good about it.
Yeah.
After the video session, they all came up, said congrats. They commended me for it. And just were asking genuine questions about what it involves and why I chose to make that decision and if I'll come back to footy and things like that. And so they were really good about it.
Well, that would have made your decision so much easier.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
When like, the boys you look up to
Yep.
asking you genuine questions and congratulating you for it. Made it easier.
And then I've spoken to a couple of people about the missions. Like, you don't know where you're going to go, do you?
Nah.
Like, you just apply for it. Is that right?
Apply for it, yeah. And then the leaders in our church, they select where they feel inspired that you'll be a blessing for the community,
So who are the leaders in your church? Is that the people from Manly or?
So we believe in having a living prophet.
Yep.
And so the prophet of our church, he through inspiration selects where missionaries go.
Yep.
And
because you can go all over the world.
All
can't
over
you?
the world, yeah.
And where did you get based at?
I was up on Queensland.
Oh,
up the road. And so
were you a bit sort of filthy? Or did you want to go?
I sort of assumed, to be honest.
Yeah?
Just because I suppose, obviously had a name and people would, I suppose, be more accepting in terms of talking to myself.
Yep.
And I sort of had an inkling. I didn't know, but I sort of had an inkling that I was going to Brisbane, which, I wasn't really disappointed about.
Really?
I had a brother that, went to Philippines, I had a cousin that's gone to Ghana and Africa.
Oh, really? Wow.
And so, I've had friends and family gone all over the world and I've gone up the road. A lot of people think, man, you must have been spewing.
So how does it work? So what do you do when you're actually on this mission? Like, are you allowed to keep in contact with your family? Or
Yeah, and so at the time when I was serving, so we could contact our families once a week via email.
Okay.
And then we could only call back or Skype back on Mother's Day and Christmas Day.
Really?
Yeah.
So you couldn't even come back home?
No.
Wow.
So I was up there for 2 years, and we only had like a little Nokia phone just to confirm and cancel appointments or things like that.
Oh, okay.
And so it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard, but so rewarding at the same time.
Yep.
And so a typical day in the life of a missionary, you wake up at 6:30, you do a little workout exercise for half an hour or so, and then you have your studies through the morning from 8 to 10, and you're paired up in twos, so you're always going in twos.
Yep.
So I was always with a companion. And,
is that like someone that was doing the mission as well?
Someone that was doing the mission as well, and so I had companions from all over the world. One from France, New Zealand, America.
Do you still keep in contact with them now?
Yeah. Some of my best mates.
Oh, how good's that?
And so we're paired off and we're put in a unit, and so you study in the morning from 8 to 10, and then from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. you're out teaching, knocking doors.
Oh, really?
Offering service.
Wow.
Meeting with people, teaching people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's just for 2 years. You just
2 years.
wow.
2 years. And obviously the purpose, you're inviting people to learn of Jesus Christ and
Yep.
of our faith, and never in a overbearing or forcing way. It's just
Yep.
an invitation, really.
Just knock on the door like we've got something to say.
Yeah, yeah. Are you keen or not? Type thing. And if they accept and want to hear, then obviously we'll share more. If not, all good, carry on.
And then, so being in Queensland, huge rugby league state.
Yeah.
Did you get recognised a lot?
A bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And so obviously they'd see the last name because as missionaries we're called Elder and then our last name. So
Yep.
I was Elder Hopoate as a missionary. So they'll see the last name
Yep.
and obviously recognise my face and be like, oh, what's going on? What are you doing here? And obviously start talking footy, which
Yep.
was good. And so it was a good way to get a foot in the door and got to meet a lot of people like that.
Nice. And then were you able to keep like sort of in contact with how the rugby league was going, or like you was allowed to watch TV?
The only way that I did, so we didn't watch TV.
For 2 years.
2 years, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'll kill me.
So no TV, no like social media.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty strict just to help us, because we're young men, obviously,
yep.
help us focus on our
And
purpose.
so you're 20 at this stage.
Yeah, so we win the grand final in October.
Yep.
I'm out in November. Yeah,
But then just not off subject, but you'd signed with Parramatta in October.
yeah. I
So
signed before.
So you signed before, and they knew you were coming back in what, 2012 or 13? How did you keep yourself fit? Because you said training. Did they help you send programs? Or
Yeah. So it was hard to stay rugby league fit anyway.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hardest. You see
Yeah.
when guys go like two of us a check at the moment. It's
Yeah.
gone to union. It's
Yeah,
taken them
yeah.
a long time to transition back into it.
So that was probably the hardest part. And at the time, Parramatta. Did you ever have Mesh Chiriaco Mesha?
I did have him
Tiger?
at Tigers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
one of the greats.
One of the greats,
The
Mesh.
Chiriaco.
Chiriaco. And so he was at Parra at the time. He was the head
Yep.
trainer. And so periodically Parra would send him up
Oh, okay.
just to see how I was going, run me through, conditioning tests, gym tests. And
He
things
loved
like
the
that.
grids.
Yeah.
He loved grids.
That's all I was doing. That's all I was doing. And so, so Mesh would come up occasionally and run me through
Yep.
through training drills, and they'd give me programs that I'd try and do. And I mean, being on your own, it's just hard to do. And obviously, you're not getting the contact that is required in rugby league.
Yep.
So I did what I could, but yeah, it was hard to transition back.
And I was going to say, like, you've come from a big family. Like, how many brothers and sisters have you got?
I'm one of 11.
One of 11. You got your mum and dad, and then
Yeah.
I know your uncle Albert. There's so many of yous. Did you have any moments where you like struggled without your family on the mission?
I suppose I wouldn't say struggled. I obviously missed them.
Yeah.
I missed being around them, but I think because I was so focused on why I was a missionary, and I was around like-minded young men.
Okay.
Because it's voluntary, obviously.
Yep.
You give up 2 years. You obviously wanted to do it for a genuine purpose, and so because I was surrounded with other young men that wanted to be there, that was my focus really. And so, whilst I missed my family, I was content with where I was.
How was those moments on Mother's Day and Christmas Day when you got to Skype the family?
Yeah, love them. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, every missionary would say the same thing. You look forward to those times.
Yep.
Because that's the only time you get to physically see
Crazy, man.
your family, and especially for young kids. In 6 months, kids grow, and yourself having young kids.
Oh, mate.
In the space of 6 months,
Mate, 6 weeks they grow.
yeah, they grow
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, their features, their physical attributes, like everything.
Yep.
And so to see my younger siblings, grow, yes, it was crazy to see.
And talk to us about the moment. Obviously, you come to the end of the Mormon mission. You
Yep.
come back. Who picks you up from the airport? And
So my family was there. Yeah,
whole
So
family?
my parents, my grandparents, my siblings.
Yeah.
There's quite a few actually.
Yeah.
they come and greeted me, welcomed me back just at the Sydney airport, and still remember it and loved it.
how did you feel coming on that plane, knowing you come back home to the family?
Yeah, I was obviously very happy.
Yep.
I was content with what I'd done the past 2 years. Felt like I had a crack and
Mm-hmm.
learned a lot of lessons, had a lot of hard times, but experience I wouldn't change for the world. And so coming back on the plane, coming down from Brisbane, you see the Harbour Bridge and
Yep.
Sydney Tower, and it's just like, how good's
No,
this? Like,
how
I'm
good,
home.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm home.
Oh, that's the best, mate. It would have been no better feeling.
Yeah.
And then how long did you get off from that period when you finished the mission to when you went into Parramatta pre-season?
I pretty much went in the next day.
No
in,
way.
In terms of I went in the next day and then met Brad Arthur.
Yep.
That was his first year coaching as well. So we started at the same time.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And
went in-
did you have Brad at Manly, Bart?
No.
No, so
No,
you didn't have him at
so
that period. Okay.
I just met him. Yeah, and so next day, went into Para, just had a tour around the facilities and things like that. Met the players and some of the staff.
Yep.
And then I think started that next week.
Yep.
Pre-season. So because I got back in November, so it was actually good timing. So
How were the lungs, mate, and the body?
Oh, rattled.
Really?
Yeah, rattled.
Just
But yeah. And I remember the first contact session we had, wrestling session. Man, I woke up I felt like I actually played a game.
really.
I was that sore. I was like,
Did they ease you back into it or no?
They were pretty good about
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So they did modify my loads.
Yep.
Obviously, they understood that, my speed, intensity, the contact, everything was just missing for 2 years. And
Yeah,
so
yep.
they did ease me back into it, which was good. And they helped me prepare for round one.
And then so was it 2014 was back to round one?
Yeah, 2014.
What was that like, mate, getting back out there?
Yeah.
Did you miss it for those 2 years you were away?
Yeah, definitely missed it. Like
Yeah.
it was obviously a childhood dream, and coming into preseason, I was just focused on getting a spot really.
Yep.
Because I knew I wasn't just going to walk into a team after having 2 years off.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so, and players obviously progress their careers in 2 years. A lot can happen in 2 years
Dead big time.
in a rugby league. And so I was just focused on trying to be, the best version of myself, and getting a spot back. And thankfully I did that. BA and the team had trust in me and played me round one. We played Warriors at Parramatta Stadium.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got the win.
centre that day?
Centre, yeah. Played centre my time at Para. And we won that game. We had the great Jared Hayne at the back who carried most of that year.
He was so good that year, eh?
I think that was the year he got Dally M as well.
But remember, we played together in 14 Origin.
that's
Remember,
it,
how
yeah.
good was he in that?
Exactly.
I think he won us the series that year.
Yeah, lucky he was playing.
It was him and just 12 other blokes on the field that were just doing their best.
Exactly.
Mate, that was, and speaking about the tables before and celebrations, we didn't drink too much beers after, but there was one table that we just couldn't break at the Pullman. It's probably still.
Probably still there.
You know what was funny? I actually went through my phone the other day,
Is that?
and Connie, our security guard, tried to break it. He's a big Islander fella. He was Tongan, wasn't he?
Tongan, yeah, big Tongan.
And Gow and Birdie and Chocky, they were all trying to go through it, and we're like, oh, big Connie can go. And then
go.
he just hit the table and then just rolled off. This one table was just, we won an Origin series, but we couldn't break a bloody table.
Couldn't break a table. Oh, how good was that day?
Oh, that was great.
Did you see Hoffy's post the other day?
Yeah, mate. Can you
good was
believe
that?
it's 10 years
10
on?
years.
Unbelievable, eh?
Where did that decade go?
Oh, mate. So I was 22 and you were 21?
Yeah, 21, yeah.
Unbelievable, mate.
What's doing?
Time flies, doesn't it?
Far out.
And then, so obviously, you had a couple of years at Para.
Yep.
And then you get the opportunity to go back and work. Was Des at...
Yeah.
So did Des reach out to you?
Yeah. And so, spoke with Des a few times over the phone, and I think that was probably a big draw card.
Yep. Because weren't you going to re-sign with Para?
Yeah, well, I mean, there were because I was coming off contract, and so there were a few different clubs that were interested. But I think there's, speak with him on the phone and just just understanding. He knew how I played, and our history, winning at Manly, him giving me my debut.
Yep.
Close ties with the family.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was sort of the draw card, and obviously, the Bulldogs were red hot at the time too.
Yep.
With our mate Jimmy, skipper in the way, and so it was good to go there.
How was the conversations with Des about the Sunday games?
Yeah, and so he was quite understanding, similar to when I told him I was serving a mission.
Yep.
I think him knowing that I served the mission, the experience we had of me telling him that decision, I think he understood that. I didn't want Sundays off just to go down to the beach and have a laugh. He knew that my faith was a big part of who I was.
So what would you do on those Sundays?
And so, like a typical Sunday was, we believe in making it holy in terms of. So I try to do things that are different from Monday to Saturday.
Yep.
There's no big do's and don'ts list type thing, but you just try and make it holy in terms of going to church, going to different church gatherings, teaching the youth of spiritual lessons.
Yep.
And so there's a host of things, and having family time.
Yep.
And so on those Sundays, it would just be a regular Sunday for me when I wasn't playing.
Oh, okay. Would you watch the boys play as well?
Nah, yeah. And so sometimes, because depending on the time of the game, and some church was in the afternoon, or some church gatherings were in the afternoon.
Yep.
I was at church at the same time they were playing, so I missed it anyway. But I didn't watch it until.
How were the boys? Were they all ever like, oh, come on, Hop, can't you just play? And...
They did. There was obviously banter. You obviously know what it's like in the sheds.
Yes.
A lot of banter. And so obviously they're trying to jokingly get me to play. But at the end of the day, they were quite respectful of it, really. They were really good about it, and grateful to them for understanding.
Oh, like you said with the Manly boys, when you did tell them about the mission, it makes it so much easier when your peers and players understand, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And then so you've had Des in 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
How has he changed since he's gone to the Bulldogs? Was there much change in Des that you noticed?
Personally, no. I felt like he was the same in terms of his intensity, very defensive orientated.
Yep.
Everything, was focused on, and obviously attack, but, he was obviously big on deep.
Yep.
Were you there when he was there? Or you come under
I
Dino?
signed under Des.
But came under Dino.
But he left,
Okay,
he left.
And so, so he personally, I thought he was the same in terms of his IQ and his intensity.
Yep.
I suppose things just, didn't work out how he would have wanted it at Canterbury.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think he had a good run, like a couple of grand finals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He took him to a few. Obviously, they weren't able to get one, but it's even to get to the grand finals, a huge effort.
And then speaking of the players, you mentioned Jimmy. What was it like with the blokes like, Jimmy, Mick Ennis, Grubby?
He just left.
He just left.
Yeah,
Did he? Oh.
Yeah, but Grubby was there. Josh Reynolds,
Like, they're just characters, aren't they?
Yeah. The good crew. Good bunch of crew they had, So
my good mate, Big Clem.
Big Clem Dog. They had Tony Williams, obviously, in his
Big
prime
Rexy,
then, Cassiano, Greg Eastwood, Aiden Tolman. So they had a big pack.
Yep, massive.
Massive pack.
Frankie Pritchard, was he there when you were there?
He just left too. So him and Mick just left before I got there.
Okay, yep.
And so, but they still obviously had a lot of size.
Yep.
I think Laney was still there, Sean Lane, and so big pack.
Any moments you remember about Jimmy Graham? Tries to carry on like he's a saint.
I was on his podcast earlier this year, and he asked me, if there was anyone I'd love to meet, who would it be? And I said, Dave. He looked at me with a bit of disgust.
Is that his alter ego?
That's his, His alter ego comes out when he's on the drinks.
I've seen it.
I miss Dave.
Oh, mate. I don't miss Dave.
And so I only got to, because I only got to experience Dave on Mad Mondays.
Oh, okay.
And so that's where I got to meet the great Dave.
That was Dave at his peak, at his best.
At his absolute peak. But, he was the captain of the club at the time, and inspirational leader.
Yep.
Obviously, he spoke, and when he spoke, everyone listened, and then his actions obviously spoke louder than his words. And he'd always, as captain Zoo, have the final say in the huddle before you go up out on the field. And he'd just be barking orders, and inside you're just like, man, let's just go to war for this guy, just because he's intense and he's spraying a liter of sticky spray on his hands while he's talking.
Remember when he had the
Vaso
on his leg, mate? So you've had a couple of good captains. Jamie Lyon was captain of Manly. How is the difference from Killer to Jimmy Graham?
Probably their levels of intensity.
Yep.
And their skill set. Obviously, one being an outside back, doing freakish things, and then one that's just an all-out bulldog in terms of how he approached the game, how he ran, how he tackled. Love the spray.
Loved it.
Love the spray on Jimmy, but never in a way that would attack your character. You know what I mean? It was just the heat of the moment, get your act together. And it rolled you up like, oh, Chuck's right. Keep us spoken.
You don't want to let those blokes down.
Exactly, because they're doing what they're saying.
Yep.
They're doing, and so they expect the same of you. And so, great leadership.
And so you had a few years at the Dogs. How did you come about going to St Helens?
Well, it was always sort of on my own personal agenda to go overseas.
So you always wanted to go to England?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Towards the back end of my career, I always thought I'd just love to experience playing over there and living on that side of the world, experience the competition. And I suppose I was pretty lucky again in terms of timing, because Christian Wolf was the coach over there, and we had obviously ties with him being the coach of Tonga.
So you'd already worked underneath Christian Wolf?
Yeah. So I was already had a number of years under him through the Tongan international team. And he knew I was coming off contract at the Dogs, and he was at St Helens, and they're obviously a strong club over there. they're sort of like a Melbourne team.
Yep.
Over in the Super League. And
Okay.
so always, strong presence about him. And yeah, wanted to go to a strong team over there. And thankfully he was coach.
Yeah.
And was keen to have me over. And I thought, man, perfect timing.
Oh, beautiful. One thing I love to know, what was the style of play like over there? Like, we had Blake Austin on this before, and he reckons
Yeah, I seen him. Yeah.
he reckons it was probably, they're not as smart, but physically it's pretty.
Yeah. And I have to agree with him, man. Just
Yeah.
in terms of, what he said, in terms of the physicality. And it's not as, I don't feel it's as structured.
Yep.
But yeah, just the physical component of it, they don't miss it. As you know, you see the English boys that come over here, they're
Some
always
monsters.
Yeah, they're weapons.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, those types of players back in England. And I grew a lot of respect for the players
Yep.
and the competition of Super League, because I think generally it's just sort of, over here we sort of look down on the Super League sometimes.
Yep.
In terms of it can be seen as a lower competition. But, going over there, I feel differently about it in terms of there's a number of players that I played with in the St. Helens team that I feel could, walk into an NRL team.
What's the fullback's name? What is that?
Jack Wellsby.
Do you reckon he'll come out here?
Well, I mean, he's an example that could definitely play NRL.
Because I remember watching him in the club challenge out here against Penrith,
yeah.
and he was outstanding.
Yeah, great player. Yeah. He's a great player, sort of. And I think it just depends on him really if he wants to make the move.
Yep.
But he would adjust, playing to the NRL. And there's a number of those players, and even in the other teams, there are a number of English lads that could play NRL without doubt.
And so another thing I love asking these players that have been obviously in the Super League is you're in Australia NRL. It's so, the media is just so around you. The scrutiny is ridiculous. You go over to England, do you feel it's a bit more like laid back and you can just enjoy your footy?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go over there because soccer is just the main sport. It's their religion over there, and everything. They've got news outlets and media. Everything's all focused on soccer, and so a small percentage obviously is on rugby league, and not every game is televised like it is
Really?
here. Yeah. So there's only a few select games.
Oh, okay. So they're not all on Sky over there.
No. There's only a few games that are televised.
Yep.
And so, sometimes clubs just call each other and can change the time of the game.
Wow.
If it's not televised.
No way.
Yeah. So they'll just coordinate. So like obviously
So it's like you playing for Chroma and saying, look.
yeah. So the league, obviously the schedule will come out.
Yep.
And then if it's not a TV game, I'd call you if you were playing for Wigan and be like, oh, we're playing on Saturday at 2. What if we push it back to 5? Yeah, sweet, done.
No way.
Yeah. If it was, and so so those are some of the differences there. And
but you play a lot more games, don't you, over there?
A lot more games.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot more games. James Roby broke the record over there. Played over 500 games.
You're kidding.
Yeah, he broke the Super League record.
He just retired last year, didn't he?
Retired last year, yeah. And if you combine like all his rep games, like Great Britain and England, he comes close to 600. It's like 590 something games.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, in the middle as a hooker.
And he played long stints. Like he didn't really come off, did he?
No, he was an 80-minute man. He'd only come off if they were, winning by heaps or whatever.
Isn't there a weekend where you sort of play on a Friday, then a midweek, then the next Friday?
That's what routed me.
Yeah,
because I didn't realize.
Was that the Magic? Is that the Magic weekend?
It's the Easter weekend.
Easter weekend. Sorry,
weekend. And so, yeah, I didn't realize until he got over there. So he played Good Friday, Good Monday, then the Friday.
No way.
So in the space of a week, you play 3 games.
So how you do you have? And then after those 3 games, do you get any time off, or you just go next?
And then it's next round. And so, and then obviously, like they got Challenge Cup that goes, in between the season. And
but you used to do well in Challenge Cup, St Helens.
Yeah, St Helens. Yeah, we when I was there, unfortunately, we didn't win one, but the boys usually get to the quarters or the semis. Of the Challenge Cup, and then obviously they obviously count as games. So that's how the Super League players rack up a lot of games.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you win the comp with St Helens over there?
Yeah.
Did you go back to back or?
So I just jumped on the bandwagon. They went 4 in a row. I just caught the last one.
Oh, that's all right. Hey,
so,
how good's that?
Just an unreal club, really. To go 4 in a row in any competition.
So you're basically a dual competition winner. You won one in NRL and one.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky. Yeah, one at the end and one at the beginning.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, and so we beat Leeds, Blakey's team. Speaking of Blakey.
Yeah, Poor Osto is probably still dirty on it, the big fella.
Sorry, Blakey.
But then, speaking of Christian Wolf, you spoke about it, you had that connection.
Yeah.
And you were part of the Tongan side that World Cup in 2017.
Yeah.
That was a crazy ride.
Yeah, that was that. Yeah, and honestly, before I didn't think or realize, the momentum that we had going into that World Cup and just the atmosphere around our team.
I was going to say, did you just know as a group that the likes of Tamalalo and Fafita were going to come?
We heard whispers, but we didn't really know.
Yep.
Until it came out. So we heard that there was potential of them coming over. But then obviously when they did come at the peak of their powers, yeah,
because it happened so late. Because I remember being in
you're obviously in the Kangaroos at the time,
and then Fafita, he come to the fitting, and then the day we're going to leave, Wade Graham rings him up and says, "Mate, I'll pick you up at blah blah on the way." He goes, "Oh no, I'll just get my own way in there." He didn't even tell Wade.
Oh really?
That's how quiet it was.
Yeah,
and then we get into camp, and then Fafita's not there, and then it must have rung Mao, and then Mao's like, he's
in
out.
between the fitting and
Yep.
Oh,
so it was like 2 days.
Day one.
Crazy, eh?
Oh, right. Yeah, he must have. Yeah.
How did your group? Because when you're in those groups, I've seen you Tongan boys. Like the culture's ridiculous. Like it's just crazy. Ridiculous in a good way. Like how much you just buy in, invest to it. When you get those blokes of obviously was Fanua Blake one as well.
Not that year.
Not that year.
World Cup, nah.
So you had Jace and for Andrew Fafita say they're going to play for obviously the country of their heritage.
The Kiwis boys came over to you like
Fusatua,
Manumau,
yes, yeah.
Siua Taukeaho.
Oh mate, he's still playing his gun.
They were all New Zealand at the time.
So how did that galvanise the group when you first got in there?
Oh yeah, it was huge. And I think them, coming back to play for Tonga just added so much fuel to the fire that we wanted to compete, with the likes of yourselves and the bigger nations.
Yep.
And we didn't want to waste this opportunity too, because they're coming over in their peak.
Yep.
How long, does a peak last? No one knows really, you know what I mean? And so
no idea.
You got to make the most of it when it's there. And we got together and we all flew over to Tonga. We had our World Cup preparation in Tonga.
Yep.
And I think that only added to our drive to want to succeed.
What about that moment in the semi when, I think it was Fafita, the ball go backwards, but the ref...
Yeah, it was ruled a knock on.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, as a Tongan player, I was on the podcast with Jimmy.
Yep.
And I said, obviously, as a Tongan player, I'm obviously a bit biased, saying that I thought it was a strip.
Yep.
And you see that in the NRL, that it's 50-50.
All the time.
Yeah, it's a strip, it's a knock on, but it wasn't meant to be. That's footy sometimes.
But you know what it was? I reckon that movement of you guys going over there, that put Tonga and like all the nations like Samoa on the map.
Yeah.
And then watching you guys next year in 2018, I think I was lucky enough to play against you in that first test at Mount Smart. Mate, I remember us going to the game. We didn't know what to expect. The Tongan fans were, mate, I don't even know how to put it into words. Like, we're getting goosebumps talking about it. They were incredible.
Yeah.
That game. Do you remember when they sung your anthem first, the Tongan, and then when we were singing the Aussie anthem, they all sang that with us as well.
Mate, good sports,
Mate, they were... Honestly, I've never played in a game more like where the crowd didn't shut up from the first whistle to the end.
Yeah. They just sung the whole way, and
mate.
And obviously they were cheering for us, but they looked up to you guys because you guys had everyone that they looked up to.
Mate,
they were still supporters of you guys.
Too, it was funny. I grew up with a lot of Tongans myself, and the Pengai family. I knew his brothers.
Yeah.
And then when I went out seeing his mum and that, they put what are those things called on? After the game, they always put on your head.
Yeah, the necklaces.
Yeah, mate, mine had like chocolates and everything, mate. It was so good, eh? Some blokes had money.
Yeah, so it would be money, chocolate, lollies, and they just make all these necklaces and they do it for special events.
But the impact that you blokes have done, I reckon that the Tongans, they started it, and now you look at the Samoans, they're starting to do it now. How good is it for the international game?
Oh, it's great because Australia, New Zealand, England are always going to be strong, regardless. And so it's good, just to have a bit more competition in the international space, and it makes it more exciting, really.
Yeah.
The more international games that there is, the better it is for the game.
And the one that I wasn't involved in, the next year at Eden Park, that when you actually knock off Australia.
Yeah.
Like, how's that? That's
and I think personally, I put that up there with winning the grand final.
Really?
In terms of how much it meant to me personally
Yep.
and us as a team and us as a nation. Because obviously we weren't favourites to win that, and I remember seeing the team come out, the Kangaroos team, and they had Ches and Boydie and Munster and Teddy, and I was just like, shucks,
Wow.
these guys are stacked.
Yeah.
Stacked, and and so I thought, man, we got nothing to lose here. Let's just go have a red hot crack.
Were you winning at halftime?
I think we were behind at halftime. We were winning for most of the first half, and then they went bang bang.
How was that like the halftime? Because
it sort of dented our confidence a bit in terms of I mean, you get behind a good team, especially the Kangaroos. They're obviously hard to mow down.
Yeah.
And so we knew we had to, if we ever got in front, we had to stay there.
Yeah.
We couldn't let the Kangaroos get in front. And so, anyways, towards the back end of the game, they go bang bang, try. And so we're going. It's just like shucks. We're letting this slip.
Yeah.
Like we're letting it slip here, and then we come out half time, and we score the first try. Speaking of the Pangais, Tavita scores.
Just powered his way like he always does.
Yeah, just powered his way through, and scored that one, and obviously that ignited the confidence again, and scored again to seal it.
And then what about, obviously, I think Tedesco goes down the short side, was it, and then tries to flick, and Kotrick drops it, and he's made a tackle. Where, like, you've been in some good celebrations. You've won Super Leagues, you won NRLs, you won Origins. Like you said, mate, like...
Yeah, that was unreal. And the Tongan government flew us back to Tonga to celebrate.
You're kidding.
Yeah, just because we beat Australia.
How good. Was that when you were all on the back of the trucks? I've seen that,
Yeah. So, just that last 5-10 minutes of that game was just, man.
It was chaos, wasn't it?
Chaos. And, like, they had all the momentum. They had the ball, and I was just like, if we lose it here, I'm going to be devastated.
Just got to hang on.
Hang on. And anyways, eventually we found a way to win, and the celebrations after, like, that wasn't in the plans to go back to Tonga.
Oh, no way.
Nah.
So they just because of what you've done, what you've achieved.
Yeah, because what we achieved, because we beat Great Britain the week before, which I think we needed in terms of match fitness and things like that, and then obviously beat Australia, and then that was it. That was just the end of tour, and then we get back to the hotel, and the manager's like, "All right, boys." The government's that happy they're flying all of us back to Tonga to go celebrate with the country.
Mate, that is crazy.
And so we get back there, and all the families and people, they do up all the trucks, and we just parade through Tonga.
When you look back now, do you feel that you've paved the way for these? Because a lot of young kids now that I speak to, and then a lot of kids I see at clinics, they don't wear Australian and New Zealand jerseys. They're wearing Tonga, Samoa, Fiji. Like, you guys were the first ones to sort of...
Yeah, I suppose I feel that way in a sense, because sometimes we go out to junior teams and see kids like that, and sometimes a young junior Tongan team will come over to play a few games against the clubs here, and it used to be if you're a Tongan New Zealander, you want to play for the Kiwis, and if you're an Aussie Tongan, you want to play for the Kangaroos. That was me. Like growing up, it was a Kangaroos. That was sort of me, but now. The ones growing up now that are of Tongan, Samoan, Fijian heritage, they want to play for their actual heritage.
That's so good, and I think that's only going to grow our game.
I think so too,
and that's what we need. Stronger of Tonga, Samoa, Fijian, Papua New Guineas.
Yeah,
mate, they're the ones that are going to make this competition even better, I reckon.
Absolutely, I think so too.
And lastly, what's Hopper up to now?
Yeah, so I'm doing a little bit. I'm with the Roosters. I'm in the well-being space.
The Dirty Chooks, mate. Nah, they're a good club.
They're a good club, and so so I'm running the well-being manager for the male pathways.
Yep.
I'm at the Roosters, and also running well-being mentoring programs for youth in schools.
Oh, nice. How are you finding that?
Good. I enjoy it. So I got my own little business called Will to Succeed.
Oh, yeah.
And so we go to different youth settings, schools, youth groups, and just run mentoring, well-being, self-identity programs to help the youth, especially in the world we live in today. It's very confusing for them.
And how do they get in contact with you? We'll put it up on here for you.
So you can contact us. We got a website, willtosucceed.com.au.
Oh, beautiful.
Or you can find us on social media, will.to.succeed on Instagram.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, we'll chuck a little shout out for you. And then lastly, actually, I want to ask you, I get to play with him, week in, week out. Lehigh, how proud of you of him, mate?
Very, mate, yeah. And so, we've got, 10, 12 years on Lehigh. I've got 10, 12 years. So I seen the kid as a baby sort of grow up, really. And so, yeah, just to see where he is, and especially the last 2 years, because I was in England, I didn't get to see him play much, and I feel like that period of growth for him was monumental.
Yep.
In terms of his footy IQ and skill, and yeah, just a proud older brother to see where he is, and he's a good kid in terms of
Champion.
still listening to, his older brothers.
No, well, I'll tell you one thing, mate. You get these young kids that come in that sort of think their shit don't stink.
Yeah.
I sit right next to him in video, and every time I look at him, I've got to peek out my eye. He's just this little skinny kid with his big glasses on and just writes notes, non-stop notes, and mate, unbelievable. And then to see this little skinny kid, and when he's playing first grade, just to poke his nose through on every tackle, I'm like, mate, how do you do it?
It still boggles my mind. I'm his brother.
Well, he's had a good bloke to learn from, mate. And, mate, I can't thank you enough for coming on Woodsy's Footy Club tour. Mate, I appreciate it, and then all the best in the future, brother.
Thank you, Woodsy.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks, brother.
Legend.